Welcome to Contemporary Black Voices, where we take on the most pressing issues affecting Black America. I am your host, Dr. Sharon Michael Chadwell. With me today are my co-hosts, New York Times bestseller Caleb Alexander and community activist and entrepreneur Chris Dawkins. The man behind this show is author and screenwriter Fred Williams, and each of us here at Black Video Network and Contemporary Black Voices continue to miss you. Well, this has certainly been a politically historic week in the United States. The former 45th president, Donald John Trump, was surprised to learn on May 30th that a jury of his peers found him guilty of 34 felony counts of falsified business records. Now, this is the first time a former or sitting U.S. president has been convicted of criminal charges. Now, the jurors said they all agreed that Trump falsified business records to conceal a $130,000 hush money payment to adult film star Stormy Daniels to influence the outcome of the 2016 election. So here is a breakdown of those 34 felony counts. Guilty on 11 of 11 charges related to invoices for legal services. Guilty on 11 of 11 charges related to checks paid for legal services. Guilty on 12 of 12 charges related to ledger entries for legal services. All these activities occurred throughout 2017 from Donald J. Trump's checking accounts, entries into a general ledger, and a revocable trust account. Now, for those of you who don't have anything to do on July 7th, July 11th, that is a day of sentencing, and that will be a few days before the Republican National Convention, where they are known as the Law and Order Party. So many questions to ask now. First of all, is Donald J. Trump going to the federal prison? Can Trump vote? Will this impact the election? Were the judge and jurors biased or unfair and fair and impartial? And does this really affect Black folks? Lots to talk about here, so let's get this discussion going. But first, we would ask you to hit like and subscribe so that you will know when our shows come on. So guys, I'm back.
Welcome back.
And I'm back during Gossip.
Let's get it on.
I'm back during Gossip Week Central. It's kind of like, this was a gift to me. This was a gift. Donald J. Trump convicted on 34 felony counts.
You know, and I saw his rebuttal about when he was in Trump Tower and he gave his talk, and it was incoherent of what he was saying, and you know the judge.
He was in shock.
Shocked. No, he was typical Donald Trump. Nobody knows what he's talking about. He's rambling on, talking about the judge was the devil, and you know he wanted to allude to Michael Cohen, but he said I can't say Michael Cohen's name because I'm on a gag order. But you know who he is. He's a scumbag, and blah blah this, that, and the other. You know, it's like a person that you know. All of us know this one person who never wants to take responsibility for anything that they've done. And I've never known Donald Trump to take responsibility for anything. And this is one time where he's had the jury of his peers. The judge has tried to be very accommodating and everything to make sure that things go right. I do not believe, of course, he has the option to appeal, but to appeal a court case, there has to be a flaw in the original case. And I think they were so careful that there were no flaws in the original case, so he will not win on appeal. You cannot, I mean, you can, but it's not going to help them to try to talk about an appeal for jurisdiction as to where the court should have been, or that they want a different people on the jury, and different things like that. Those type of things are not going to be things that you can get in to have a appeal to be valid. So his goose is cooked.
Well, I hope his goose is cooked because we've got his followers. Let's start naming some folks off, some known followers. Tim Scott.
What about the bleach blonde?
The bleach. Marjorie Taylor Greene. Ted Cruz, and several others had a literal breakdown on Twitter. In fact, it was kind of entertaining to me where I was eating popcorn and drinking Coke, reading the stuff. But they talk about they are a party of law and order, but they're allowing this lawless person to guide their thinking on the appropriateness of what happened. And this is talk about this jury. Now, all of us have done jury duty. I've done grand jury duty. So I'll start from grand jury. When you're in the grand jury, you are there to determine if there is enough evidence to go to court.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And you can call in anybody to come talk to make sure you understand what is the crime, the alleged crime, and whether, again, there is enough evidence to take the case to court. Mm-hmm. So the grand jury had already decided this was the case. Mm-hmm. Then we all go to jury duty. So we all have sat there to where you've got the defendant's attorney and the prosecutor in there, and they're trying to siphon out jurors based on whether they think they would be biased and unbiased. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And Trump's attorneys, they got rid of a lot of jurors that they felt would have been biased to him.
Yeah, they helped pick the jurors.
So this was truly a jury of his peers. In fact, there was a couple of folks on the jury who I think were probably MAGAs. You know, I'm not sure for sure, but they definitely were subscribers to Truth Social. Okay, so, but he's saying that the jury was biased. This is the folks you picked.
Let's talk about, what happens afterwards. There's a lot of cases that we've all seen, the OJ trial or any trial that you can kind of think of where people will normally say, okay, he's not guilty. He's not guilty. And then the jury comes back and says, he's guilty. And they say, yeah, he's guilty. Okay. And that's the way it's been that I've been seeing early on with the Trump supporters, okay? Mm-hmm. They've all said at the very beginning, he's not guilty, he's not guilty, he didn't do these things, he didn't do these things. The jury comes back and says he's guilty, they say, we ain't vote for him. So that's the way I think it's gonna be. The other thing has to come back, you talked about all those people who supported him, mm-hmm. the politicians and the congressmen and the senators and so forth. We are going to have to blow up the Republican Party. What do we mean by that? You've got to go to the polls and show the Republican Party that the way things are right now, no Republican, as the way it stands right now, can be elected with the way they've got their party formed. Now, for America to really function properly, you have to have a two-party system, and you have to have a Republican Party that is at least complementary. And when I say complementary, that doesn't mean that the Democrats have to agree with them, but at least I call him like a John McCain type of Republican, where he went in, even when Barack Obama was running against him, he would say, I'm not going to allow you to say he's not born in the United States or whatever. There was a little bit of a decorum that Republicans would have. Right now, there's no decorum at all. So the Republican Party has to be blown up, and we're going to have to rebuild that from the ground up, and that includes everybody as far as being an American.
Okay. You want to say anything before we go on break?
Oh, no, we can roll to the next segment.
Okay. But what we're going to do is we're going to take a break because I know that my partner over here has a lot to say, and we'll see you back in a few minutes.